All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah, name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Let's get this John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they will testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men. I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. Another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe and receive honor one of another? And seek not the honor that comes from Alahym only. Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses. But had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? Proverbs 35. Give me a second. I forgot to bring my song. All right. Shalom, man. Proverbs 30 and 5. So bless name of Alahym and his Shabbat. Keep in mind that Sunday at 1:30, service for Pentecost. We will be live, y'all willing, Sunday at 1:30. The time for y'all willing on tomorrow, between 2:30 and 3 o'clock. For you who are willing on Sunday, 1:30. Proverbs chapter 30, verse 5. We'll make it verse 4. Who have ascended up into heaven or descended, who have gathered the wind in his fists, and who have bound the waters in a garment, who have established all the ends of the earth. What is his name? What is his son's name, if you can tell? The word of Alahym is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Now, we talk about John the Baptist and Yahushua and the trade-off. The trade-off from the priesthood of Melchizedek, the Levitical priesthood back to the priesthood that was intended to be from the beginning, which is the priesthood of Melchizedek. A lot of times that individuals, they look at a lot of things and they don't understand what the plan was from the jump street, what Yahuwah's intent has been and always will be. We looked at also the service, of course, when we looked at Abiel, one of the progenitors of Zechariah, the father of John the Baptist. And we've seen that each person in the course of that high priesthood had a service. And of course, and that's in regards to when we look in the spiritual aspect of the new covenant of the dispensing, I should say, of the Ruach HaKodesh and the offices and functions of which that goes to. So I want you to come back to First chapter 24 real quickly, and then we will return back to First Corinthians chapter 12, and then we'll proceed to continue to look at certain things in the priesthood. And you who are willing, probably take a look at Zadok this evening, if you will. You know what? I'm going to do something different. I mentioned this, and I think that that's what I need to do. I want you to come to First Chronicles 24 and 5. It says, thus they were divided by lot. Well, matter of fact, make it verse 3. And David distributed them, both Zadok of the sons of Eleazar and Amalek of the sons of Ithamar, Shalom, man, according to their offices and their service. I'm going to pause. We've looked at offices before, but I'm going to do it again. And as forth is the Hebrew word for office, because I want us to understand that. First Chronicles chapter 24, and that word office in verse 3. We talked about that word the other day, and it's Pek Uda, and it's pay, and it's kuf, and it's dalet, and it's hay. So when you look at it and you see that the last Adam taking that pay and that hay, you know what I'm saying? Or they speak the word of his sacrifice, or the last Adam preached or commanded or spoke that word of that sacrifice, because this word, remember, is oversight or care charge. So let's take a look at something. Now something else just came to mind. So I guess I'll do that too. And Yahuwah willing will go the way that it needs to go. The first thing I want you to do is go to Acts chapter 20, because I mentioned that on Wednesday and we did not visit it. We'll go to 20 and 19. I like to spin around to Acts 20 because of the words that Paul spoke. Now, why that sentence is important for the word that's office, because those who he distributed to do the service, the office of their service, is supposed to be bearing witness to the sacrifice or the word, if we take that pale word of the gospel, of the sacrifice of the last Adam at the end of the day. And we're going to see that when we go to 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Because remember, we kind of looked at it and said that perfection came from the Levitical priesthood, and the Levites were the one who taught the law. And the law was your schoolmaster to bring you under faith, because you would shut up, you were closed off from that. So now when you come over to the priesthood of Melchizedek, which we've already ascertained is a priesthood after an endless life and after an oath of Alahym and not a carnal instruction. See, a lot of brews don't like to hear that. Well, it is a carnal instruction because it's men. Men die. That's what you're supposed to understand when you think about the Levitical priesthood, the priesthood of Aaron. When you say Levitical priesthood, you're saying that in the totality, but you're really talking about the high priesthood of Aaron. That's what you need to understand when you hear, because 99.9% of the time, when these letters are referring to that priesthood, that's what it's referring to. But hit us with a slowdown. Hit us with a slow down. So you have to understand that. But let's come over here to Acts 20 and 19. Say, serving the Lord with all humility of mind and with many tears and temptations which befell me by the lying in wait of the Yahudim, and how I kept back nothing that was profitable unto you, but have showed you and have taught you publicly and from house to house. You know, I heard a couple people this week talking stuff with the word, man, and I'm not going to call no names because there's no reason for that. Because, you know, they're thinking that you're trying to get clout or whatever the case may be off of these individuals because they feel like they have names and things of that sort. And that's their business. But these niggas trash. You understand me? When I tell you that these niggas is trash, this stuff that these dudes be talking about is pure, unadulterated trash. You know what I'm saying? The stuff makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. And I don't understand how some people could even sit there and listen to it, because I would be offended. You know what I'm saying? Some of these dudes understanding the stuff that they say, I would be offended. I'm offended. You know what I'm saying? And like, yeah, I'd be offended. Like, not even offended that you lying on you. Who are like, bro, you suck. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Who sent you? Why are you even here? Because I know Yahuwah ain't stand this. Because the stuff you saying is self-serving. You know what I'm saying? There's no gospel being preached. Can't nobody be delivered and saved from what you talking about. Because everything is carnal. So you have to sit there and you have, when you know Alahym, that you know that Alahym does not deal with things that pertain to the flesh when he speaks. Remember what Yahushua told you in the 4th chapter of John, Alahym is a Ruach. So if he is a Ruach, and he also told you that the words that he speaks, they are Ruach and they are life, then why are we having carnal conversations if we saying that he dwells in us and we got his word in our heart and he's sent us to teach it? Why are we having carnal conversations? Does that even run across your mind? You understand? Well, Kira, it don't look like we're gonna have a strong connection like we had last night. But seriously though, think about that. Think about that. Let's continue. Verse 21. Testifying both to the Yahudim and also to the Greeks repentance towards Alahym and faith towards our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. So notice the key 2 things that this man say that he was testifying to the Yahudim and Greeks, of which he taught publicly, which he did not hold back anything that was profitable to these people, and that he taught them how you need to turn back to your God and how you need to have faith towards Mashiach. This is what an individual does in their office. We know that Paul's office was an apostle. But let's continue. And now behold, I go bound in the Ruach, unto Jerusalem, not knowing the things that shall befall me there, save that the Ruach HaKodesh witness in every city, saying that bonds and afflictions abide me. But none of those things move me. Neither account I my life dear unto myself, so that I might finish my course with joy. Notice that he said, finish his course. Now we sit back and we see that. We're going to see that word. I don't think we read it yet. And if we did, my apologies. But we did read it Wednesday about in their course. You should understand from in their course, from what we read in Luke chapter 1 with Zechariah, corresponding in 1 Chronicles chapter 24, that is the order of your service as it was dispensed by David unto these priests. So when he tells you he's finishing his course, he's not talking about running a race. He's not talking about that. You know what I'm saying? Now, now I'm going to tell y'all something, right? And, we look at the words in the language so you can see what it says and what's actually being conveyed. And I don't bust people balls who choose not to say that I don't need to know the language of this, that, there, and the third. Because we're not going to tell you that you need to know it to save yourself. But I'm telling you, man, you can't be coming at people and taking what you see in English and telling them that what that means when it's forcing, when it's talking about something else. And it messes up. That's why I be saying like dudes is trash. Because remember what we looked at in the book of Ezra. It said he was a skilled scribe, a ready scribe. In another place in one of Paul's letters, he said that a man should be apt to teach. If you recall, we went through that. And that Greek word for apt is to be skilled. You have to be skilled. How can you tell me that Yahushua called you to teach the word and you unskilled? How can you be trapped? Why would the most skillfulest, this man skillfully created the entire structure of heaven and earth by a word, why would he send unskilled men to proclaim his goodness to the people? Why would he do that? That don't even make sense. Why would a skilled man send an unskilled man to do skilled labor? Ask yourself, that don't make sense. A skilled man is going to send unskilled men to do skilled labor. But see, we gullible because all we care about is it sound good, he's charismatic, or he telling us that we Israel. So I don't really care that he don't know what he talking about. See, one thing when I first started dealing with this word, I thank you for it, because it's only by his grace, by way of Yahushua, that was even possible. And when we used to sit down and listen to these dudes' videos, and I used to jot down every verse that these men would prophet. You know what I'm saying? And then as I would go back, and not even necessarily cross-referencing what they talking about, but as my understanding began to expand, only by the grace of Alahym, let that be known, I seen that these niggas ain't know what they were talking about. And I ain't coming up to say that individuals were lying, purposely being deceitful, but I began to see that these men didn't know what they were talking about. And then as I began to meet, Shalom, man, as I began to meet some of these individuals and speak to some of these individuals and how they would be offended because I would have conversations with them and it was plain to me that they didn't know what they were talking about. You know what I'm saying? And that you could press them and you could see that they were frustrated because you could see that they didn't know what they were talking about. You know what I'm saying? Now, I come from a different spot. I just seen one of my big homies today, but I ain't seen my man in a minute since he got shot back in the days, man. You know what I'm saying? They tried to take him out, but by the grace of Yahuwah, he's still here. You know what I'm saying? And he was one of those people who used to, tell me that again, like, man, don't talk about stuff when you don't know what you're talking about. It's not a good look. You know what I'm saying? Stick in your lane, man, and speak what you know and know what you speak. He tells you that in Psalms 116, and Paul quoted that himself. He said, I believe, therefore I have spoken. So if you don't even realize what you believe in, how can you speak? Because he said you can't believe in him whom you have not heard. So if you've never had the man preach to you, how could you speak on it? Nevertheless, but see, again, this is go back to course and order of service. No disrespect, it's just as facts. Let's continue. I'm in verse 24, Acts chapter 2. But none of these things move me, neither count I my life dear unto myself, so that I finish my course with joy and within the ministry which I have received of the Lord Yahushua to testify the gospel of the grace of Alahym. And now behold, I know that you all, among whom I have gone preaching the king of Alahym, shall see my face no more. Wherefore I take to you record this day that I am pure from the blood of all men. For I have not shunned to declare unto you all the counsel of Alahym. Take heed therefore unto yourselves and to all the flock over which the Ruach HaKadosh has made you overseers, to feed the house of Alahym, which he have purchased with his own blood. Now we came here from what's in First Chronicles chapter 24, because to be in that office is to be an overseer. See, the Levites, this is why Malachi, he went so hard on the Levites in the fashion that he did, is that you had the oversight of the people. You were supposed to watch over them. Pause. Ezekiel chapter 33. We got First Corinthians chapter 12 on deck, First Chronicles chapter 24. And you can go and grab your First Timothy chapter 3 and Titus 1 just on general principle. I know First Timothy 3 and Titus 1 is being redundant, but every time we grab one, we usually grab the other for informational purposes. And we're going to look at something in Jeremiah too, but I hadn't called for that yet. So bear with me on that. I'll just look at Ezekiel 33. Praise the Lord. Ezekiel 33 and 1. You know, this particular thing right here in Ezekiel 33 and 1 is widely used by a lot of brews out of context. Now, pause. I want you to come back to, I want you to look at Ezekiel 1 and 1. This is for informational purposes. Ezekiel 1 and 1. Hold on, because I want to grab his father's name. Let's go. Ezekiel 1 and 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, and the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Kebar, that the heavens were open, and I saw visions of Alahym. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jachinon's captivity, the word of Yahuwah came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kebar, and the hand of Yahuwah was upon him. And I want to look at you. We're going to look at the word came expressly. So it don't say expressly. It say the word of Yahuwah, Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi. And when we look at him, his name means my contempt. It is Ba, it is U, and it is Ayin. So what is and Yah? That's what his name means, my contempt. Of course, Ezekiel means Alahym strengthens. So in contempt, Alahym strengthened. But we came to Ezekiel 1 and 1 that you can see that Ezekiel is a priest. That is his due, that is his job, that is his duty. He is a priest. Now come back to Ezekiel 33, and now you can see how Ezekiel 33 is going to make a lot more sense. Because not only is Ezekiel a Levite, but he's also a prophet. So you see him in dual roles, holding two offices at once. You understand? Two offices at once. After we read Ezekiel 33, we will go read Hebrew chapter 3. But let's read Ezekiel 33 and 1 right now. And again, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, speak to the sons of your people, and saying to them, when I bring the sword upon the land, if the people of the land take a man of their coast and set him for their watchman, if when he see the sword come upon the land, he blow the trumpet and warn the people, that whosoever hear the sound of the trumpet and take not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head. He heard the sound of the trumpet and took not the warning, his blood shall be upon him. But he that take warning shall deliver his soul. But if the watchman see the sword come and blow not the trumpet, and the people be not warned, if the sword come and take any person from among them, he is taken away in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the watchman's hand. So you, son of man, I have set you a watchman unto the house of Yasharal. Therefore you shall hear the word at my mouth and warn them from me. See, a lot of dudes say I'm a watchman. Well, who made you one, nigga? Don't try to use this Ezekiel and say that's you, because he told Ezekiel, I'm making you a watchman. I'm going to put my word in your mouth, and you're going to warn them people from me. You around here talking about America being destroyed is not being a watchman, sir. That's not warning the people to get them out of their iniquities. See, pause. Before we read, what did I mention? It'll come to mind in a moment. Hebrews 3. Praise Alahym. I want you to come over here to James chapter 4. It might be chapter 5. Praise Alahym, because I came straight on to it. So I want you to come over here to James chapter 5 and verse 19. James chapter 5, verse 19. Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth and one convert him, which would be you, which means you would have caused him to repent, let him know that he which cover the sinner from the error of his way shall save a soul from death and shall hide a multitude of sins. Now, come on, hold on. 1 Peter chapter 4, right? See, that's the thing. 1 Peter chapter 4, man, verse 5. See, a lot of people not trying to really convert somebody from the error of their way. Some people don't want to be converted. Some people are proud, they're rebellious, and they stubborn. That's why he told you your heart is far from him. Your mouth show a lot of love, but your heart far from him. Because you can't see, you can't hear, and you can't understand. That's why you can't be converted. You can't be changed because your heart's made of stone. Because you don't really want to do it. I've been telling people for years, why go to hell playing? Go to hell doing what you want to do. Don't go to hell playing. Don't go to hell worrying about what other people doing. You got to focus on what you're supposed to do. That means screw your husband, screw your wife, screw your friends, your family, your turn. You got to save your own soul. Because he ain't going to look, you can't pop up and be like, serpent gave it to me. The woman you gave me. You can't, you're not going to get away with any of that. You have to say, that doesn't mean say screw your husband and wife, literally. If you got to save your soul, you can't be concerned with what your wife is or isn't doing. You can't be concerned with what your husband is or isn't doing. You got to make sure that you save yourself. You can't save them. You can't save your kids. You can't save them. If they want to be rebellious, they're going to be rebellious. Ain't nothing you can do about that. You can't save your homeboy. If they don't want to turn, they don't want to turn. Ain't nothing you can do about that. See, that's the thing with y'all got the game twisted. You got the game twisted in two regards. Number one, you think you want everybody. He don't. Do you know what I'm saying? As most of y'all on here should know that. He don't. You know what I'm saying? And number two, everybody don't want him. Everybody don't want him. Everybody don't want the responsibility of godliness. See, as a man, you should crave responsibility because that's what helps you become a man. And nobody should have to move you to be responsible. You know what I'm saying? A child shouldn't make you be responsible. For some people, it causes them to realize they need to be responsible. Don't get me wrong. But you shouldn't need to have a child to say, now I'll be responsible. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't get you a woman and say, now I'll be responsible. Because lack of responsibility will cause you to have a lack of accountability. You know what I'm saying? And both of those two things mixed together is a lethal concoction. And it will utterly destroy you. And it'll cause you to be a low-value man. Because you're not going to handle your business. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to do what you're supposed to be doing. And it's not going to be respected. If you turn around and you feel like people don't respect you as a man, you need to begin to start looking at yourself and grasping what is it that you're doing and putting it out there for individuals to not respect you. Just because somebody's not respecting you does not necessarily mean that you're not conducting yourself like a man is supposed to. But instead of the first thing you should look at is, let me check myself first and foremost. Am I projecting myself in a fashion that is not commendable and respectable in a man first? Let me check yourself first. Then if you can see that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, then you can rebuke. You can handle that. But if you're out of pocket, well, you got to tighten that up. You know what I'm saying? As a man, you ain't got the two things, man. Your word and your balls, man. That's all you got. Your honor and your respect. That's all you have. That money don't mean nothing. From cars, houses, all that stuff don't mean nothing. At the end of the day, as a man, you need your word and your respect. Period. You know what I'm saying? I know plenty of dudes who got money that are not to be respected. So you can't think that that's why Yahusha told you beware of covetous, because a man's life does not consist of the abundance of things that he possesses. Your worth and your validation does not consist or it doesn't abide in what you can acquire. Because you can acquire those things and be a man of low value, a man of ill repute, a man who is not to be respected. Screw money, man. Again, that might be different because that's how we would talk. You know, respect is everything. So screw that money. You know what I'm saying? Screw status. I need my respect. What good is money and status if you disrespect it as a man every day? You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Nevertheless, 1 Peter chapter 4, man, verse 5. Who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead? Praise Alahym. I'm glad to hear that. Who shall give account to him that is ready to judge the quick and the dead? For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to the men in the flesh, to live according to Alahym and the Ruach. But the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things, have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover a multitude of sins. Now, this is quoting something that's in the book of Proverbs. The love of Alahym covers a multitude of sins. When you love Yahuwah, then you're going to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And you're going to love your Alahym with all your mind, heart, strength, and soul. And that's going to cover the multitude of sins. That's how you convert a sinner from the error of his way. Because Alahym so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. See, we were talking about that when we were talking about Rachel and the 2 sons that she had. Because the 2 sons that she had was representative of the love that Alahym had toward you. Because you know that Jacob loved Rachel more than Leah. So when you see that these 2 sons that she brought forth was a manifestation of the understanding how much Alahym loved us. And when that love is manifested through the preaching of the gospel by those who he has given through the division of their course or their office or their service or their visitation, then men will repent, Yahuwah willing, that if he could, if it be Alahym's will, that he turn them individuals from opposing themselves. See, when you're going against the word, you ain't going against Alahym, you're going against yourself. See, you're really stupid. You're really a simpleton. There's something wrong with you because you're fighting against yourself. Let me tell you something, man. You act like you hurting it, you hurting me. And I'm just saying me as this fourth is in this course of this sentence because the word that I wanted to use didn't come to mind. Or you thinking you hurting an individual who's preaching the word because you reject it. You're not hurting me. You ain't definitely ain't hurting you. You definitely not hurting Yahushua. You ain't hurting nobody but yourself. That's why it's easy for me to say, well, shoot, that's on them. You're gonna beg and prod and be upset because somebody judged themselves worthy of death. See, that's why I don't go for sob stories, all that talking and all the extra stuff and things of that nature that people like to bring. I done heard all type of stories. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, man, if this is what you want to do, this handle your business. So y'all on here know y'all done told me, man, I was doing this, but at the end of that, well, what you gonna do about it? Your life is in your hands. So what you gonna do about it? Because I'm not gonna be moved by, I've been doing wrong. I want to do right. Well, do right then. Because I don't know what you expect to be told. You know what I'm saying? Now, maybe I'm like that because my family's like that. All right, nigga, what you gonna do about that? My daddy was like that. My mother was like that. My auntie was like that. My granddaddy certainly was like that. All right, cuz, so is you gonna handle your business or not? Because I hear you, I understand, and I sympathize with your struggle. But what you gonna do though? And when you sit back and look at it, it's kind of like it's kind of cut and dry. I get you. It's not that an individual does not sympathize or understand or lack compassion. I hear that. But what are you gonna do? Oh, you already facts. I ain't got that too much from a cup, but I already know it's in the bloodline. You like that too. So we all like that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, what you gonna do? That's how that's. I don't know how. I can't speak to that. I know, and I mentioned that I talk to my little homie about this all the time because he'd be like, "Well, you be harsh with me, and this, that, and the third." But well, that's how our family is. You see, my little cousin just said that. His daddy like that. Uncle is like that. You know what I'm saying? He like that. I'm like that. Our cousin Aisha like that. Shoot, little Muffin like that in her own way. You know what I'm saying? But all right, what are you gonna do? I hear you. I understand. I hear you. I got you. I understand your explanation of why you didn't execute how you wanted to execute. So how you going to be better the next time? So when you hear that and you're not accustomed to that, that's going to offend you. You're going to think that we don't care. You're going to think that we mean and this, that, there, and the third. And we not. All right, I hear you. But what are you going to do? And we done end up, guess what? We had to sit back when we was stepping. All right, nigga, so what you going to do? You messed up. You did this. You did that. You know what went wrong. You know why it went wrong. What you going to do? Because we know that nobody want to hear that. Because at the end of the day, people want to see results. They want to see that what you profess to say that you want to do, that you're going to do that. They want to see. You can't come to people and say, I serve Yahuwah, I do this and I do that. But then they don't see that from you. Now they don't want to hear what you're talking about. Or when you fall down, they're going to look at you like, well, shoot, is you going to get up? Nigga, what you going to do? You going to lay there and cry? You going to talk about you stubbed your toe, you scraped your knee? Nigga, get up, put some dirt on it. Tighten up. See, that's raw. When I fell and chipped my teeth, man, I had blood coming from everywhere. My mama said, man, cut all that. What you crying for? You gonna cry forever? I'm like, dang, that nigga harsh. But she ain't lying. I was 11 years old. What you crying for? Nigga, that concrete hurt. You know what I'm talking about? But at the end of the day, you got to toughen up sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You got to toughen up sometimes, man. You got to suck it up. You got to suck it up, man. That's life, man. You know what I'm saying? It's rough out here. We'll tell you that. It's vanity and vexation of spirit. But you got to keep on pushing, though. What you going to do? We're going to serve Yahuwah. That's what we're going to do. We're going to keep the faith in Yahushua. That's what we're going to do. That's the only option that we have. But nevertheless, I'm finished with that. Hebrews chapter 3. I'm about done with Acts 20. I don't want to get too far off the beaten path. But let Alahym be esteemed in the name of Yahushua either way. Hebrews chapter 3 and verse 1. See, because I ain't get too much out, man. You know, y'all was out of state. All he used to just want to do was lecture, but he used to lecture at the most inopportune times. But I knew he ain't mean no harm, though. I know he felt like, shoot, I ain't get a chance to drop nothing on him. Let me try to drop it when I can. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't realize, shoot, boy, we done had that experience. We appreciate it, though. You know what I'm saying? But you need that, though. Let me tell you something, man. If you got people around you, man, and they see that you making bad choices and bad decisions, let me tell y'all something. Friends don't got to agree all the time. They ain't got, your friend ain't hating on you or doing this, that, and the third because they don't agree with the choice and decision that you making. It's okay. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? Most people been taught that everybody's supposed to agree with everything that you do. You know what I'm saying? But if you around here making bad choices and bad decisions and bad moves and niggas ain't telling you about yourself, well, them niggas ain't your friend, man. Them niggas don't care about you. Because 9 times out of 10, they waiting for you to fall on your face so they can laugh at you later. You know what I'm saying? If you know somebody going to tell you something even when you don't want to hear it, or you shy away from bringing stuff to an individual because you know they're not going to tell you what you want to hear, you gotta check yourself on that. You know what I'm saying? You rather somebody give you that harsh truth than a nice dressed up lie for you to go on and crash. Because that mean they love you. And it's okay if you don't agree. It's okay if you say, you know what, I don't agree with your perspective on what I brought to you. Well, shoot, that's all good, my nigga. That's how I see it. That person just want the best for you. Most of us are not accustomed to people who want the best for you. You ain't accustomed to it. That's why we heap the people who gonna agree with everything we do and we say, because then people don't really care about you. And that make you feel better because it strokes your ego and it validates your existence. But then people don't care about you. Don't surround yourself with people who don't care about you. You know what I'm saying? Nevertheless, Hebrews chapter 3 and verse 1. Wherefore, Kadash, brethren, partakers of the heavenly calling, consider the apostle and high priest of our profession, Mashiach Yahushua, who is faithful to him that appointed him, as also Moses was faithful in all his house. Now, I could have just mentioned that just to mention it, which we came there for verse 1, but I wanted you to see how we see Ezekiel playing dual offices, how Yahushua plays dual offices, because that can happen in the priesthood of Melchizedek. And we're going to look at a couple more people in that regard that fit that profile, namely Peter. Back to Acts chapter 20. We still need 1 Corinthians chapter 12. And then it'll lead me to the book of Jeremiah eventually. We also got Timothy and Titus. Timothy chapter 3 and Titus chapter 1. So we're looking at certain other things in the priesthood. See, I got something specific, y'all willing, for Feast of Weeks, first fruits, Pentecost, whatever you want to call it. I seen dudes beefing about that this week. Like, seriously, man? So-called Pentecost, what does it matter? You know what I'm saying? That's one of the examples of Yahoo Shah talking about straining at a gnat. Like, come on, man. Who cares? If you call it Pentecost, if he call it Feast of Weeks, if he call it first fruits, either way it go, you know what it is. You know it's in the third month. That you do. Nevertheless. Verse 29. He say, for I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you, not sparing the flock. Also of your own selves shall men arise, speaking perverse things, to draw away disciples after them. Therefore, watch and remember that by the space of 3 years, I cease not to warn you, every one, night and day with tears. And now, brethren, I commend you to Alahym and to the word of his grace, which is able to build you up and to give you an inheritance among all them that are sanctified. See, that's the thing that the individuals don't sit back and consider. That men will arise and speak trash, be told, to bring disciples after them. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody want to be that teacher and have people following them. Nigga, what's wrong with you? Ain't nobody give you no hug when you was a child. They ain't love you. And that's what it is. Some people just want to have followers, man. You know what I'm saying? Want to have that type of power and control. And they had their people. You got some perverse people out here, man. But really, you got hurt people out here. They broken. But then you got some people, they just evil. They just evil. And I know that's hard to encapsulate in the minds of many, many people, that there are some people who walk this earth that are just flat out evil. And not evil in the aspect that they rape people or molest children or are murderers, because you got some people who have never killed anyone a day in their life, and they just as evil as Ted Bundy. You got some people that ain't never killed nobody. And if y'all don't know who Ted Bundy is, you look him up. He's from the state of Florida. He was a wicked bastard in his time. You know what I'm saying? There's some people out here who ain't never killed nobody like Danny Rollins, and you can look him up too. He's from the state of Florida and ain't never killed nobody a day in their life, and they evil matches his. Because it's the heart. See, we like to put classification on evil, on grievous things. See, like this, for example, and this is not to diminish what these men, those 3 men up there in Brunswick who they charged that dude murder, you got a lot of black folk, and people are evil. They evil. And evil they very well may be. But y'all know people who are just as, if not more evil than them, and have never killed anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up. And that's not that I'm using this as an example, because what they did was evil, because that came from evil intent. They had evil intent on the action. That's apparent by their actions that they had evil intent. But just imagine how many people who have evil intent that have never killed anyone, that do just as much evil. Because Yahuwah is not going to look at this sower of discord, this false witness. You know what I'm saying? This proud person who has this proud look. He's not going to look at them any worse than he's going to look at that murder. He's going to look at them both and be utterly disgusted. He's going to look at them both and say, you both evil. Not both, each one of you, you all evil to him. You know what I'm saying? That's how he see that. The same way he see one person who walk in righteousness, you righteous to him. You righteous to him. See, this is when we have to have a just weight and a just balance. We have to see it how Alahym see it. See, that don't fit well, because like I told you, we done took the word of Yahuwah, made it a our movement, and not made it what it is. It's a Kadash word of righteousness, the word of faith, which is able to save a man's soul through the preaching of Yahushua HaMashiach. See, that don't sit well with a lot of brutes. You can't exalt yourself, because nigga, you ain't nobody. You dust and ashes. Man of like desires, like every last one of us. So a man has no room to boast nor brag, only boast in esteem in the Lord. Period. But y'all know, just like I know, many men boast in themselves and try to slide Yahuwah on the back end. How can we boast when we all wicked transgressors at one point in time in our life? Ain't none of us been sanctified by the Ruach HaKodesh from birth. Ain't none of us walked in righteousness and conduct from our youth unto this very day. Every single solitary last one of us lived according to our own desires and lusts in this world. We sought to fulfill them, and we satiated ourselves on every foul and unclean beast that we could find. And I ain't talking about no food. So how dare we esteem ourselves and lift ourselves up when we were in need of a redeemer? Amen. I'll get that for you, man. Come on there, Jeremiah 32. Brother Jennings put it out there. Come on here, Jeremiah 32, man. So I'm in the right spot. And I am. I'll find it eventually. I might be in the wrong spot. Escape from because I know that I could tell you this verse word for word. But then what will that do for you? That won't do any good for you. Because you're going to be like, you know what? I like to know where that's at outside of you telling me it's in the book of Jeremiah. Come over here, the book of Jeremiah, man. 9. I was way up. Jeremiah 9. I'm probably going to see that when I look at my book. Sometimes I can find and remember where it's at on the page. That's what I'm accustomed to doing, opening up the book. And yeah, that's why I had that in my book. That's why I don't like to change Bibles. Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 22. Thus saith Yahuwah, speak, thus saith Yahuwah, even the carcasses of men shall fall as dung upon the open field, as the handful after the harvest, and none shall gather them. Thus saith Yahuwah, let not the wise man esteem in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man esteem in his might. Let not the rich man esteem in his riches, but let him esteem in this, that he understand and know me, that I am Yahuwah, which exercise loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness in the earth. On these things I delight, saith Yahuwah. Look at what he say he delighted. Loving kindness, judgment, and righteousness. So let's just look at every last one of them. Look at what the man say he delight in. You know, delight's going to be confessed. This is what makes him happy. This is what brings him favor, brings you favor. Excuse me. Now, of course, when we look at understand, you have Sakal, a word that you should be familiar with. We just looked at it. When you look at exercise, that word is asad. When you look at love and kindness, it's kasai. Judgment is mishpat. So you know that's goodness, kindness, faithfulness. Know how to be good, know how to be kind. He said that's what he delights in. Of course, no is yada. And of course, delight is kafes, as I already mentioned. And of course, righteousness is a dot. That's what he take pleasure in. This is what he's pleased with. These are things that Yahuwah be pleased with. Nevertheless, Timothy. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do it on this app. So I can already have 3 and 1. I can already have Jeremiah. You can put your hand on Jeremiah chapter 20. I believe it is Jeremiah chapter 20 that I want. First Timothy chapter 3. First Timothy chapter 3. Verse 1. This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desire good work. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, diligent, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach. So notice, we'll look at the Greek words for each one. I know we've done it before. We're going to do it again. Now, some people feel like that's just for that particular assembly where he say the husband of one wife. But those of us who have understanding know that that's referring to Yahushua, that he is a bishop, a pastor, a shepherd, and he only had one wife. That's why that's the standard. A lot of people be like, oh, that's Paul's opinion. All you know is that's an unlearned man. That's an unlearned man. Because if an individual can't open you up the text and show you why he said that, you know they don't know what they're talking about. Diligent. The Greek word for diligent is phelios. This is someone who is sober and temperate and abstains from wine, or at least from its immoderate use. They're circumspect. Sober. Sophron. Sound mind. Again, temperate. Of good behavior. Cosmoios. Well arranged. Modest. Humble, if you will. So the key thing for a bishop is they have to have self-control and they have to be humble. When you turn around and look at giving the hospitality, hospitable or generous to guests, or given to or a lover of, fond of guests, the word is philokasinos. And then when we learn to apt to teach, that Greek word is again skillful in teaching. So this is what it says that somebody who is a pastor must be. He said they can't be given to wine, not given to wine, nor a striker. So what is that? Somebody who is a quarrelsome person, who is pugnacious and contentious and ready to put their hands on people. Now, where do we get that? Now, we could go through that. You know what? Let's just do that right now. First and foremost, let's look at it from the Lord's sake, because I just thought about that. We haven't looked at that in many, many years. So for those who are not aware, we will do it now. First and foremost, let's take ourselves to Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 15. And then we will look how Yahushua himself fits into this particular course. Because I wanted to look at this part with pastor because of course. And that's going to lead to what I was going to go to in 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Because there's certain things specific to the Levites that I don't want to start delving into right now. Because one aspect of it, if you will permit, is specifically for Pentecost, because it relates specifically to Pentecost. And we need to make sure that we don't start it too early, and then we have to do it before the time. Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 15. I'll get there eventually. You can pick it up actually at verse 12. Jeremiah 3 and 12. Go and proclaim these words towards the north and say, return, you backsliding Yasharal, saith Yahuwah. I will not cause my anger to fall upon you, for I am merciful, saith Yahuwah. I will not keep anger forever. Only acknowledge your iniquity that you have transgressed against Yahuwah, your Alahym, and have scattered your ways to add to strangers under every green tree who have not obeyed my voice, saith Yahuwah. Turn, O backsliding children, saith Yahuwah, for I am married unto you. And I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion. Now, pastor is Ra'ah in Hebrew. I remember a long time ago, I probably done told you this here, man. Dude gonna tell me the word pastor ain't in the scriptures, and I'm like, well, clearly you don't read. They tried to make it up, make it that it was a Christian construct. But remember, there's Ra'ah, and it's somebody who is a shepherd. So when you say pastor in Hebrew, it's going to be considered someone who is a shepherd, a ruler, or a teacher. Rosh, Ayin, and Hay. Know Yahusha, or know the Son of the Highest. This is what a shepherd, this is what a pastor is going to do. They're going to rule and teach you that you know the Son of the highest. Period, point blank. Period, point blank. That's exactly what they're going to do. We can see that. We got that hey, you got that Alahym, you got that Raj. You need to know the Son of the highest. That's what a shepherd's job is. Remember that Yahushua said, I didn't come in my own name. I came in my Father's name. If I would have came, if someone would have came in their own name, you would have received them, because it was his job to show you the Father. He didn't come to show you himself. He said, I didn't come of myself, but my Father sent me. So when you turn around and you look at it, if someone say they're a pastor, if someone say they're a shepherd, if somebody say they're a bishop, and they ain't pointing you to Yahushua, that nigga's a lie. That ain't what I say. This is what this book tell you. Because he said they're going to feed you according to his heart and feed you with knowledge and understanding. Well, we know if you lack understanding, you worthy of death. And Yahushua rose from the dead, and he began at Moses and all the Psalms and the law and the prophets, expounded in the things concerning himself. And he opened their understanding that they might understand the scriptures. So if they're not causing you to understand Yahushua, who he is, what he came to do, and what he will do, then who sent this nigga? Matter of fact, who taught this nigga? Because a bishop is supposed to be skilled in the word. There's not anything that a bishop should not be able to open up the text and explain. Now, how are all these dudes claiming they high priests and pastors and bishops and shepherds? How is they trash? How are they trash? You have to ask yourself that. How is this man trash? Because at that point, we saying that who he represents is trash, and we should dare not utter the word, much less even have the thought to dare even speak or utter in your heart that Yahuwah is trash. That means, no, you trash. Because you ain't get that from my father. I don't know where you got that from, but you ain't get that from him. Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, you ain't get that from him. Anyone got that. Let's come back to 1 Timothy. I just needed to grab that Hebrew word, Pastor, for you real quick. That's what we're going to look at tonight. It's been a minute. We'll do it. It's been a while. We definitely ain't focused on it about a good 6-7 years, I believe. So the first thing first is, let's look at the blameless part. Excuse me. Come over here to Matthew chapter 26. You know what? 26 is not what I 26 what I use 26 and 57. Then I'll swing over here to chapter 27. We'll get it from two separate places. Matthew chapter 26 and verse 57. And they that lay hold on Yahushua led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and elders were assembled. But Peter followed him afar off into the high priest's palace and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. And the chief priests and elders and all the council saw false witnesses against Yahushua to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. And at the last came 2 false witnesses. And they said, this fellow said, I'm able to destroy the temple of Alahym and build it in 3 days. Well, while we're looking at this, they didn't have no fault with him. They ain't had nothing they could blame him with. So, you know, they had to make something up. Matthew chapter 27. Verse 19. When he was sat down on the judgment seat, his wife sent unto him, saying, have you nothing to do with that just man, which would be Zadok, which would be righteous? For I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of it. For the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should ask Barabbas and destroy Yahushua. The governor answered and said unto them, whether of the twain will you that I release unto you? They said, Barabbas. Pilate said unto them, what shall I do then with Yahushua, which is called Mashiach? They all say unto him, let him be crucified. And the governor said, why, what evil have he done? But they cried out the more, saying, let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but rather atonement was made, he took water, washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I'm innocent of the blood of this just person. See you to it. Then answered all the people and had said, his blood be on us and upon our sons. These blameless. They didn't have nothing they could blame that man with. Absolutely nothing. So we see how he fit this first qualification of which Paul has laid out. Now it says the husband of one wife. To look at that, we must return back to Ezekiel chapter 37 and then return back to John chapter 10. This is stuff most of y'all, some of y'all on here already know this. But for those who don't, praise Alahym, but we're going to go back over it so that you may. 37 and 15. I say so. Sometimes we have to stir your mind up by way of remembrance to remember things that we've done. So our understanding can continue to expand and grow and be strengthened. Ezekiel 37 and 15, the word of Yahuwah came unto me again, saying, moreover, son of man, take you one stick and write upon it for Yehudah, for the sons of Yasharal, his companions. Take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Yasharal, his companions. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in your hand. And when the sons of your people shall speak unto you, saying, what will you not show us what you mean by these? Say unto them, thus saith Yahuwah Alahym, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Yasharal, his fellows, and will put them even with the stick of Yehudah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in my hand. And the sticks wherein you write shall be in your hand before their eyes. And say unto them, thus saith Yahuwah Alahym, behold, I will take the sons of Yasharal from among the heathen, whither they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Yasharal. One king shall be king to them all. And there shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore. Of course, verse 24 say David is servant, and they shall have one shepherd. You can read that in verse 24. But the key thing is he said they'll have a king. Well, we've already established that you know that Yahusha is a priest after the order of Melchizedek, which means he is king and priest at the same time, meaning he's a shepherd and a king. That's why he mentions that down here in verse 24, that they will have one shepherd. So a lot of people misconstrue what's over here in John chapter 10 and 16 and equate this. You can start at verse 15 and equate this to the Gentiles. But this is not about the Gentiles. Because remember, he came into his own received him not. All you got to do is go back and look at Zechariah. Let's look at it now. Zechariah chapter 12. Because I'm saying that like we've read Zechariah 12 recently. We have not. So it's going to be somebody that I don't know what he's talking about. We need to go look at it. Zechariah chapter 12. Which one do I want to start with first? Chapter 4, verse 4, I should surmise. Zechariah chapter 12 and verse 4. And that day saith Yahuwah, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness. I will open my eyes upon the house of Yasharal, and I will smite every horse of the people with blindness. Now sit back and you look at this here, right? He blinded the people in the day of Yahushua's death because they did not know who he was, nor what they had done. That's why he say, forgive them, Abba, for they know not what they do. Because their minds and their hearts were blind. Yahushua had already told you that in Matthew the 15th chapter, when he told you that they blind leaders are the blind, and they shall both fall in the ditch. And when he said they can't see with their eyes, nor hear with their ears, nor understand with their heart, lest they should see, lest they should hear, and lest they should understand that they could be converted and be healed. But let's continue. And the governors of Yehudah shall stay in their heart. The inhabitants of Jerusalem shall be my strength, and Yahuwah of hosts, their Alahym. And that day I will make the governors of Yehudah like the earth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheaf, and they shall devour all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left. Jerusalem shall be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. Yahuwah shall also save the tents of Yehudah first, that the esteem of the house of David and the esteem of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Yehudah. And in that day shall Yahuwah defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, that the people among them at that day shall be as David, and the house of David shall be as Alahym, and the Malachim of Yahuwah shall be before them. It shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem. And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the ruach of grace and of supplications, and they shall look upon him, me whom they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him as a one mourns for his only son, and shall be in bitterness as one is in bitterness for his firstborn. And in that day there shall be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as in the mourning of Hadrimon in the valley of Megadon. And the land shall mourn every family apart, the family of the house of David apart and their wives apart, and the family of the house of Nathan apart and their wives apart, and the family of the house of Levi and their wives apart, and the family of Shimei apart and their wives apart, and the families that remained, every family apart and their wives apart. Notice that he said he had to save the tents of Judah first. Because remember, Yasharal was gone. They were gone. That's why in John chapter 11, it says, he has to bring the children of Alahym and make them one. Yasharal was not there. Were there people of certain tribes of the house of Yasharal there? Yes. But y'all know that Yasharal was taken captive by Assyria and never returned. They never returned. So when we come back to John chapter 10 and verse 15, look at what it says. John 10 and 15. As the Father know me, even so I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. Them also must I bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. You just seen that in Ezekiel. That ain't about no Gentiles. They don't exclude no Gentiles. But why would he be talking about Gentiles when he had to come and do what he had to do for his people first? That's what I say to the Yahudim first, and also to the Gentile. John chapter 11, if you don't know that what I was referring to. John chapter 11, verse 49. One of them named Cappius, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, you know nothing at all, nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation should perish not. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, prophesied that Yahushua should die for that nation, and not for that nation only, but that he shall also gather together in one the sons of Alahym that are scattered abroad. So that's what lets you know that. So when you see that of him having one wife, because we know from Ephesians chapter 4, it's one body, one immersion, one faith, one Alahym, one Lord. Dudes ain't got the like. Like I said, our aspect of looking at how many wives that Yahushua has and a man should have is based off the gospel, not off personal opinions and feelings. I don't care how many wives a dude got. What that got to do with me? I ain't got to sleep with him and I ain't got to take care of him. I genuinely don't care. But if you ask me according to this word, before people say, well, where's it at in the law? Well, hey, man, if that's how you feel, B, that's how you feel. I ain't got nothing to do with that. But when we look at this gospel, though, which you're going to find it in the law, you're going to find it in the prophets, you're going to find it in the gospels, you're going to find it in the epistles. Take it for how you want to take it, my nigga. Do what you do. You got to answer to Yahuwah about that. As for me, we're going to preach this gospel, and this gospel don't support that. So we're going to esteem Alahym in his perfect will. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about our nation was built. That's your business. I'm not concerned with what the nation was built on, because that was a fleshly nation. We concerned about building a spiritual house, sons and daughters of the living Alahym. That's what we concerned with. You know what I'm saying? And I don't understand why. Well, I do understand, but that's how we look at it. That's why I wouldn't argue with a dude about that. Dudes think because if you don't agree with it, you care. I don't care. Nigga, get 40 wives, nigga, that makes that folk to vote. But I'm not going to agree with you because you want me to, because I go by, how does this line up with Yahushua's testimony? Period. That's it. That's my only concern. He said, lo, I come in the volume of the book. It's written of me. That's my duty. He said, search the scriptures. He said, you thinking that you got eternal life, and he's talking about him. So that's what we do. That's what we gonna do. And if it lined up with him, then that's what we gonna do. If it still showed that Yasharal and Yehuda was two separate wives, then we wouldn't have nothing to say. But it don't show that. He said he's making them one stick, one shepherd. That's why we got one body. You ain't got two different emergencies. You got one. You ain't got two priesthoods. You got one. You don't have that. We don't have two faiths. We got one. We got one faith. We ain't got two Alahyms. We got one. You know what I'm saying? Take it how you want to take it. Take it up with Yahuwah. Don't take it up with me, because nigga, I don't care. We just dealing with that aspect with this pattern. Let's look at the next thing. Well, we know Yahushua got self-control. You can go around there and read, because I got to speed it up. You can go around there and read Mark chapter 3 when he looked on the people angrily because of their hardness of heart. You can start at Mark 3 and 1 on your own time. You know he was skilled to teach. That's a given. You could get Matthew 22 for that if you wish, when he was talking to him about the resurrection of the dead. You know he was giving the hospitality because he fed the people who followed him and wouldn't send them back home. Now, of course, you know that he ain't put his hands on nobody, not greedy or filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, nor covetous. We can go all the way back to Samuel about the leader being not covetous. When you look at not being a brawler, the Greek word is amakois, and that's somebody who is not contentious and abstains from fighting. We see too many times where Yahusha abstained from contention. He told them people about themselves, but he didn't seek to contend. This is what it say that a bishop, a shepherd, a pastor is supposed to be. One that ruled well his own house, having his sons in subjection with all gravity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how shall he take care of the house of Alahym? Not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil. Now, we talk about that. That's a neophyte. That's somebody who just been converted. You can't be new to the word. Talking about you want to teach somebody. Shalom, man. You can't be new to the word and teach somebody. Not be no bishop. Let me you can't be no pastor. You can't be no shepherd. You can't do that. You don't know what you're talking about. But let's continue. He says, moreover, he must give good report of them which are without, lest he fall in reproach and snare of the devil. Let's return to the epistle of Titus. Let's look at Paul's explanation to Titus. Let's pick this up at about verse 5. And then we'll begin to look at the things that Jeremiah spoke of about being a pastor. And because he's the only one who really, really talks about being a pastor in the Old Testament quite readily. Yeah, I mean, using the word pastor. Now, using the word shepherd, now that's a whole nother thing. You know what I'm saying? But more so using the word pastor, which pastor and shepherd for the most part is the same word. Titus chapter 1 and verse 5. For this cause left I you in Crete, that you should set in order the things that are wanting and ordain elders in every city as I have appointed you. He said, if any be blameless, the husband of one wife, having faithful children, not accused of riot or unruly. For a bishop must be blameless as the steward of Alahym, not self-willed. How you going to be a bishop and a steward of Alahym and be stubborn? How that's going to work? See, pause. Let's look at a statement from the Lord. John chapter 6. Now, remember, we looking at from what all this is coming from what we look at with the word pakuda in regards to office or court. Because being a pastor, a shepherd, an elder, a bishop. See, there's a difference because a pastor is called an elder. But a lot of groups, for Hebrews, they look at elder because somebody's old. You know what I'm saying? But see, these are two different type of things. See, you can be an elder, that don't mean you know teacher of the word. But then you have men who are called elders and they pastors. See, a lot of our people who in the word, now they get that confused. Just because somebody old don't mean they skilled in the text. They can be an elder, but that don't mean they skilled in the text. You know what I'm saying? And then truth be told, when we're looking at elders according to the priesthood of Melchizedek, being old does not qualify you, because if you say you are elder according to the priesthood of Melchizedek, you're saying you are pastor and you have to fit those qualifications. See, we can't be concerned with what happened before the priesthood of Melchizedek in this current dispensation of time. It doesn't matter what they did during the Levitical priesthood, i.e. the high priesthood of Aaron, because that is gone. You're in the priesthood of Melchizedek, which is made with an oath, which is after endless life. So we have to look at that the same way we can't look at the first Adam. You need to look at the last Adam. You know what I'm saying? You can't look at the old covenant. You have to look at the new. Because in that regard, if we don't, then Mashiach is no benefit to us. And in that regard, he died for nothing. See, that's kind of hard. And I know why it's hard, because you're a people with no identity and a people with no culture. But you got to understand that your culture in reality, as we discussed many times before, is from heaven. So it's not a culture that you created. It was a culture that was given to you. And it was given to you from heaven. So it's not anything that you came up with. That's why I say, who have instructed Yahuwah and showed him in the way of understanding and showed him wisdom and taught him knowledge. Because what you declare as being your culture really comes from heaven. So you have to focus on making sure that you're walking according to the course, order, and will that comes from heaven. He didn't give us a cultural style of dress because he didn't care about that. That was inconsequential to him. What he was giving you was a way to live that would honor and esteem him in the process, that the whole earth may know that Yahuwah is the living Alahym and Yahushua is his anointed one and his only begotten son. See, we have lost sight of that. And I understand why we've lost sight of that, if we even had it in our crosshairs. Nevertheless, he said, for a bishop must be blameless as the steward of Alahym, will, not soon angry, not given to wine or striker, not given to filthy lucre, but a lover of hospitality, a lover of good men, sober, just, kadash, and temperate. I'm going to get that John 6. I know I just said that and kept on reading Titus, and that's my fault. But John chapter 6 and verse 34. Let me finish the rest of it. Holding fast the faithful word as he has been taught, that he may be able by sound doctrine to both exhort and convince the gainsayer. So a pastor has been taught, because you notice we talked about this several times in the past, because they're usually ordained. At that time, they were ordained by an apostle. Because no, we've discussed this before. How could you be a pastor, a minister, a teacher, you know what I'm saying, an evangelist, and you don't know the gospel? There was only 12 men who had the gospel. That's why people don't understand why the apostles had to go out and do what they were doing. None of these people knew the gospel. How did they know it? Man, don't let these people deceive you and make no fool out of you. These people didn't know no gospel, man. The only people who knew the testimony was his apostles who were there upon his resurrection, because he taught it to them. Nobody else knew it. They had to go out there and share that with these people. They didn't know. So, of course, who was a man of structure and order? That's why, hey, go out, find good men, teach them this gospel, and set them up in these cities so they can teach these people. Because 12 men can't teach the whole world. See, we don't think about that. That nobody knew the gospel because ain't nobody talking about the gospel now. They're telling you the gospel is the destruction of the nations. Who cares about them people? We know they getting smashed. I don't focus my thought process on the wicked, nor the destruction of the wicked. I mean, your mind ain't on the promise. Why am I spending so much time on the day of Yahuwah when he tell you it's a day of darkness and a day of gloominess? We're looking for a new heaven and a new earth. Ain't thinking about them people like that. You focused on the wrong thing. That's why dudes ain't got no spirit. Because you worry about the wrong thing. Remember what Yahushua told his apostles? They said, man, you want us to make fire come down from heaven like Elijah? He said, you don't know what man of spirits you got, man. He said, we come to save life. We ain't come out here for that. It's not the time for that. That's exactly what he told them. That's Luke chapter 9, if you don't know. He said, man, you don't know what type of spirit you got, B. You tripping. You tripping. You tripping. Even in the midst of rebuking people, Yahushua was still kind. He just was stern, an austere man. Like I said, we're not accustomed to that. As we discussed before, many men ain't been raised by no man, and ain't been rebuked by no man, and ain't been disciplined by no man, and ain't been held accountable by no man. So when a man come to do it, you offended. And you begin to respond emotionally because that's what you seen your mother do, or your grandmother do, or your auntie do. When a man came and checked her, she didn't like it, and she responded in an emotional fashion and got upset and got rowdy and got hostile. That's what you watched. So then you grow up as a man and you have that same level of contempt for masculine authority and rebuke yourself. Like, who does nigga think he is talking to me? That's the first thing that most men respond in their head when another man come and check them. You didn't talk to me like that. You ain't used to it. Because if you had a daddy and your daddy checked you, or your granddaddy checked you, or your uncle checked you on a regular basis, you could take that coming from another man. You were raised with that level of respect from your childhood. Even if you don't like it, you may not like it, you're not going to disrespect that man. You're going to take it on the chin. You're going to keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? And there's a difference. You can tell who's been raised by a man and who hasn't. You could tell that by how most of the, and this is not 100% accurate, how they handle rebuke, how they deal with stress. You could tell who been around men and who haven't when they get put in certain situations and circumstances, when they face adversity. Because a man gonna teach you and show you how to, man, my big homie, they always used to tell us that, man. And I've heard it from many people. You can't never let them see you sweat. No matter if you're nervous, stressed, or all, you can't let them. It's been plenty of time the police to stop me. I had plenty dope on me, man. I'm like, I can't let this man see me nervous. You know what I'm saying? I can't let this man see this, that, and the third. He can't know that. Not only the fact that I know that they trained to look for certain stuff, to be tipped off. You can't do that. You got to keep yourself under control. You got to remain calm. You know what I'm saying? That's why they mention that with men. Men got to be calm because you got to lead. If you're not calm, ain't nobody following you. You know what I'm saying? You give into emotion. You give into emotion, nobody is going to war with an emotional general. Who's following an emotional man? Nobody's going to do that. I'm talking about man to man. I ain't talking about no woman. Ain't nobody going to do that. You talking about going to war. Remember, we didn't talk about this here before, man. That book said they fearful, but send them niggas home. So how we going to stand up for the faith and we got dudes they fearful? Yes, sir, you got to hold it together. That don't mean you ain't nervous. Shoot, that don't even mean you ain't scared. But you can't let them know that. Look here, man. You could be, and I like to say, because we were just talking about this. Like, being vulnerable is just saying what's on your mind, expressing with your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Not being emotional. It's different. And, you can't express your thoughts to any and everybody. You know what I'm saying? But even if you got to be careful with that too. Because if you're always expressing your thoughts all the time, everywhere, ain't no men following you neither. What's wrong with this nigga? Nigga acting like a hoe. Can't get no money with this nigga. I'm not going to war with this nigga. There's something wrong with him. It's viewed as weakness. And people ain't got to like it, but that's the reality of it. It's weak. You can say whatever you want to say about Donald J. Trump. That man ain't gonna show you no weakness, though. Whether you agree with him or not, he ain't gonna show you no weakness. He could be scared. He could be this, that, and the third, but you ain't never gonna know it. He gonna come with bombast and pompousness everywhere he go. And you know why he do that? Clearly, he was raised by a man. You don't have to, one thing about it, and I'm mentioning him because he's an extreme case. You don't have to agree or like someone to understand to see how they operate. That man don't care what you think. You know what I'm saying? He don't care what you think. He ain't gonna let you know that. I don't know what. I ain't gonna say that because you shouldn't talk about stuff you know what you're talking about. But you ain't gonna know that he's scared or he's nervous. Person, he's not gonna let you see that because he's in a leadership position. You know what I'm saying? So you're in a leadership position. You can't show that because that brings down the morale and confidence of the people who are looking to you. You know what I'm saying? I just know that because my granddaddy was in the Army. He done told me a few things from time to time. A few things that I done read. That's how it is. So when you come around and you talking about you as a teacher of the word, you can't be emotional. Indeed, there are people who have never, that had to be the most asinine thing for him to say, because ain't nobody never died before. I ain't gonna say nobody, because some people have clinically died and then they say they brought them back. You know what I'm saying? And probably that statement came because he was probably nervous. Who knows? But he wasn't gonna let you know. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't gonna let you know. I told you that there, man. You have to look at that, especially when you're dealing with other men, and men are looking to you. And that's when you're talking about when you're dealing with and how that when you look at Yahusha and how he dealt with about to being killed. That man went and did what he did. He went away from his apostles. We just talked about this not too long, a couple months. He went away from them. You know what I'm saying? He didn't allow them to see that because that would shake their confidence in him. You know what I'm saying? You done told me this and you done told me that. And you over here doing that? This is man to man. Again, we ain't talking about women. We're talking man to man. Nevertheless, John 6:35. Yahushua said unto them, I am the bread of life that come to me. He that come to me shall never hunger, and he that believe on me shall never thirst. But I said unto you that you also have seen me and believe not. All that the Father gives me shall come to me, and him that come to me I will in no wise cast out. I come down from Shamahim not to do my own will, but the will of him that sent me. See, that's the key thing when you look at our chief shepherd. 1 Peter chapter 2, since I mentioned chief shepherd. Our chief shepherd let it be known that he was not self-willed. Already know, y'all already know. He said, not my will be done, but your will be done. You can't be a chief shepherd and be self-willed. You can't do what you want to do. That's why a lot of people not cut for the job just for that, because they want to do what they want to do. 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. This also points to Yahushua not being a striker and a brawler. We know he wasn't greedy or filthy lucre, because when Satan offered him riches, he turned it down. For even hereunto will you call, because Mashiach also suffered for us, leaving as an example that we should follow his steps. Who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. Who, when he was reviled, he reviled not again. And when he suffered, he threatened not, but committed himself to him that judged righteously. Who in his own self bare our sins in his own body on the tree, that we being dead to sin should live under righteousness, by whose stripes you were healed. For you are a sheep gone astray, but now return unto the shepherd and bishop of your souls. This is your ruler. This is your teacher. This is your herdsman. Numbers 27:14. What am I mentioning? And then we'll go back to 1 Chronicles 24 and finish that up. Now, the one thing that we're going to look at is Zadok. Because like I told you, well, no, I didn't tell you all that. I don't think I did. But I know I have in the past. You don't see the priesthood of Aaron mentioned in Ezekiel, and you see the works of the high priest being done by the prince. So that's one of the things that we're going to set up to, God willing, on tomorrow. Then we're just going to take still dealing with the Levites, but it's going to be a totally different dynamic on Sunday, if you will permit. Numbers 27 and 14. Make it 15. I think I said 15 or 14. Moses spake unto Yahuwah, saying, let Yahuwah, the Alahym of Ruachs of all flesh, set a man over the congregation, which may go out before them, and which may go in before them, and which may lead them out, and which may bring them in, that the congregation of Yahuwah be not as sheep which have no shepherd. Now come over here, right? While I'm thinking about this, while it's in my mind, I want you to go to Matthew chapter 9, right? And I want you to come to Ezekiel 46. Now he said that you had to have somebody go in before you and go out before you. That means they leading you in and they leading you out. Matthew chapter 9, right? Where do I want to begin? You can make it 32 just on general principle. And when they went out, behold, they brought him to a dumb man possessed with a devil. When the devil was cast out, the dumb spake, and the multitudes marveled, saying it was never so seen in Yasharal. But the Pharisees said he cast out devils through the prince of devils. Yahushua went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, healing every sickness and every disease among the people. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd, which means they had nobody to lead them in and bring them out. They just out here. Remember what he told you in John chapter 10? He said they weren't shepherds, they were hirelings. So they didn't care about the flock. They didn't care about the people. So they didn't care what happened to them in regard to their soul. Most of these people out here don't really care. As long as they getting what they want to get. They getting what they gonna get. They gonna see a lot of people do to deal with this word for a lot, want to preach the word for a lot of things. Most of it be vainglory. Most of them want attention. You know what I'm saying? Want to, for whatever multitude of reasons, we won't try to psychoanalyze an individual from afar. But a lot of people have a lot of motivations and thought processes of why they want to do it. And vainglory being the biggest one. But let's continue. Then he said unto the disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray you therefore the Lord of the harvest that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. Now, we done talked about this before. It's a lot of dudes teaching the word, man, but he said the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. You ain't finna convince me he sent all these trash can niggas out here. Do you know what I'm saying? But let me tell you something, man. Nigga grow up here, them some locks, swear they know the word, boy. That junk's crying out shame, boy. Them locks don't mean you skills, son. I'm not impressed because you got a beard. So you went and found you a dashiki, my nigga, and that mean you do some word? Because you put some fringes on the bottom of your polo shirt? That mean I got to be like, you know what, bro? I know what he talking about. Bro, you suck. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you talking about. I can't get jiggy with this. I can't do nothing with this. And it's hard to say that, and that's why dudes like to try to, let me be more scholarly with it, and this, that, there, and the third, and all the stuff that everybody want to kind of come with. But at the end of the day, the word of Yahuwah is simple. He already told you to know not anybody corrupt you from the simplicity that is in Mashiach. This thing is simple. He already told you he take the base things, the things that are refused, the things that are looked down upon, and he used them. He don't see, you know what we do? We want the people that we like. See, it's kind of like, now this come to mind. Just bear with me. When we look at Saul, Saul was taller than everybody. He was handsome. You know what I'm saying? That's how he was described. You know what I'm talking about? And this is what the people had in mind, that this is what a leader should look like. And we do that same thing now, as we have a look of this type of person, this type of person, this type of person, this type of person. And when you go through the text and you look at the people who Yahuwah used, they were always the base things, the lower things, the things that were refused, the things that people looked down on with contempt. We know what they say about Yahushua when they say we have found him, Yahushua of Nazareth. Did any good thing come out of Nazareth? Somebody who's looked upon with contempt, taking us back to Ezekiel's father. This is somebody who's looked at with contempt. Who is him? Where you get him from? So let me get this 1 Corinthians, man, that I mentioned before we go to Ezekiel 46. Let me just go ahead and do that. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, real quick, light. 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and 25. You have to look at that. Yahuwah don't grab the people that you think he gonna grab. This is me going to showing that we don't really be knowing our Alahym like that. That's why you should always be tripping dudes, but man, we get the rappers, man. They'll wake so many people up. You don't know Yahuwah. Why would Yahuwah go get a rapper? The rapper gonna get the esteem, not Yahuwah. The celebrity gonna get the esteem, not Yahuwah. And what do we see out here now? Dudes be saying all praise. They don't be meaning that. They don't be meaning that. They just be talking. It sounds good. That's a shame we in the word niggas got catchphrases and had a nerve to talk about a Christian. Ain't that something? 1 and 25, 1 Corinthians. Because the foolishness of Alahym is wiser than men, and the weakness of Alahym is stronger than men. So for you see your calling, brethren, how that not many wise men after the flesh, not many mighty, not many noble are called. But Alahym have chosen the foolish things of the world to confound the wise. Alahym have chosen the weak things of the world to confound the things which are mighty, and the base things of the world, and the things which are despised have Alahym chosen. Yea, and the things which are not, to bring to naught the things that are, that no flesh should esteem in his presence. When you look at Moses, yeah, Moses was raised up in Pharaoh's house, but he forsook that. So when he came back around, he was of a low degree. And he had a stuttering problem. And this is who Yahuwah chose. This is who he chose. Notice he say, not many mighty, not many noble. David was a shepherd boy. You know what I'm saying? He was a shepherd boy. He wasn't someone of high degree and noble character. He was a shepherd boy. That's who he went and got. Somebody that, and the youngest said, and somebody look at him. Why him? Because he wants you to show you that you really just hate me. Because you want your teachers and leaders to be after how you want them to be. He said, but no, I'm gonna pick, because see, if I pick this person over here who you want, see, he gonna glory in himself. See, he not gonna glory in me. See, somebody of a low degree, somebody of contempt, somebody a base person, this, that, and the third. See, they gonna know that I came and got it. So they always gonna look at me and they gonna esteem and honor me, but they already know where they came from, so they know it was me. See, we don't want to hear that. But we don't really love Yahuwah like that. We don't trust Yahuwah, and we don't want to give him the honor. We just doing lip service. Ezekiel 46. That's why we out here think we bad, because you done kept a Sabbath and you don't eat no pork chops. Put your heart filthy as a landfill. Filthy as a porta potty. Well, you ain't hitting on nothing. That porta potty look nice on the outside, don't it? If you ain't know what it was, towel begins to come out your throat. You know what I'm talking about? And that's how Yahuwah feel every time he look at us, when he look at our inward part. He's disgusted. But we look good. We look real righteous. We talk a good one. So that inside, man, that's clean. Cuz you expect me to live in here? You really thought I was gonna come move in here? You know what I'm saying? You know, as the joke, those say dudes come in a girl house, you know, check the back of the toilet and all that. There, Yahuwah checking every crevice, every nook, every cranny, make sure it's clean. Cause he ain't moving in. If it's filthy, he ain't moving in. He ain't finna dwell in that. Ezekiel chapter 46 and verse 1. Thus saith Yahuwah Alahym, the gate of the inner court that look towards the east shall be shut the 6 working days, but on Shabbat it shall be open. And in the day of the new moon it shall be open. And the prince shall enter in by the way of the porch of that gate without, and shall stand by the post of the gate. And the priest shall prepare his burnt offering and his shalom offerings, and he shall worship at the threshold of the gate, and then he shall go forth, but the gate shall not be shut until the evening. Notice how I said that they will prepare the prince's burnt offerings and peace offerings. I know we still got First Chronicles chapter 24. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead and kill that so we can just be done with that and not have to be concerned with it anymore. We'll read verse 3 again, and then we'll move down and we'll go back to Ezekiel 46, because Ezekiel 46 is about to touch on some of these things. We were in verse 3 of First Chronicles chapter 24. You can keep 1 Corinthians 12 on tap, probably about verse 24, because we'll probably conclude somewhere that. And it says, and David distributed them, both Zadok of the sons of Eleazar and Amalek the sons of Ithamar, according to their offices in their service. So remember, we look at offices, this is your oversight. And there were more chief men found of Eleazar and of the sons of Ithamar, and thus they were divided. Among the sons of Eleazar, there were 16 chief men of the house of their fathers, and 8 among the sons of Ithamar, according to the house of their fathers. And drop down to, I think that was it. Oh, verse 19. These were the orderings of them in their service to come into the house of Yahuwah according to their manner under Aaron their father, as Yahuwah Alahym of Yasharal commanded them. So remember, we talked about orderings. And that's that same word, the oversight of their work after the judgment under Aaron. So the same type of work that's done in the Levitical priesthood of Aaron is the same work that will be done in the priesthood of Melchizedek of Yahusha. But come back to Ezekiel chapter 46. We'll probably do all of Ezekiel 46, if you would, to knock down that particular chapter because it's pertaining to one thing that we're looking at. And I do have to at least give us 2 to 3 witnesses of pastors in the book of Jeremiah, as I mentioned, so that we can be concluded with that. But I want you to look at this word for prince that is used here. And as you should know, it is Nasi, right? This is one that is lifted up. This is the chief. This is the prince. This is the captain. This is Noon, Sean, God, and got an olive on here. So let's continue. Now he will enter in by the way of the porch, and he shall stand by the post of the gates, and they will prepare his burnt offerings and his peace offerings. Now, of course, burnt offering is Olah. That is a whole burnt offering. There's also ascent and stairway and steps. You got Shalem for your peace offering. And this is a voluntary sacrifice of thanks, a sacrifice for alliance or friendship. This is how we know. That's why he told you that greater love have no man than this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. Because he was telling us then that he was that peace offering, because that was for an alliance or the bringing together of one. So that's one other reason when you look at when you get baptized, that is a peace offering. You know what I'm saying? That is a voluntary offering of thanks. That is an alliance offering, if you would. Let's continue. Verse 3, likewise, the people of the land shall worship at the door of this gate before Yahuwah in Shabbat and in the new moons. The burnt offering that the prince shall offer unto Yahuwah in the Shabbat shall be 6 lambs without blemish. Now, see, when you turn around, I think I skipped something. I feel like I did. I did not. I didn't. Now, come over here to Numbers chapter 28. Look at where this comes from. 28 and 9, if you will. But matter of fact, 28 and 1, because we want to see who is this that makes this offering, and notice that it's the prince who's doing it. It said, Yahuwah spake unto Moses, command the sons of Yasharal, and say unto them, my offering and my bread for my sacrifices made by fire for sweet savor unto me, shall you observe to offer unto me in their due season. Shalom, man. Come on down here to verse 9 of Numbers 28. He said, on the Shabbat, 2 lambs of the first year without spot, 2/10 deals of flour for meal offering mingled with oil and the drink offering thereof. This is the burnt offering of every Shabbat besides the continual offering and burnt offering. So come on back. Notice that it said it shall be 6 lambs without blemish, when in Numbers it said 2. Now this is taking us back to, this is what the high priest is supposed to do, but now this is the prince who does it, and verse 4 is clear on that. Verse 5 of Ezekiel 46. The meat offering shall be an ephah for a ram, and the meat offering for the lambs, as he shall be able to give, and a hin of oil to an ephah. And in the day of the new moon, it shall be a young bullock without blemish. 6 lambs and a ram, they shall be without blemish. He shall prepare a meat offering, an ephah for a bullock, an ephah for a ram, and for the lambs according as his hand shall attain unto, and a hin of oil to an ephah. And when the prince shall enter in, he shall go in by the way of the porch of that gate, and he shall go forth by the way thereof. But when the people of the land shall come before Yahuwah in a solemn feast, that he enter in by the way of the north gate to worship, shall go out by the way of the south gate, and he that enter in by the way of the south gate shall go forth by the way of the north gate. He shall not return by the way of the gate whereby he came in, but shall go forth over against it. Now he said, when you come in for the solemn feast. So let's go to Zechariah 14 to see why that is stated. And some of you already know this, but we'll get it for those who don't. 14 and 16. Notice that Zechariah 14 is dealing with the redemption of Jerusalem and the redemption of Yasharal and the coming of Yahusha. And let's look at what it says. Like I say, most of you already know this, but we're just being thorough. Bear with me. Because we got a lot to look at. We still got to go to Nehemiah. We got to go to Nehemiah, Ezra. We might not have to go through Chronicles in depth. There's a lot of stuff we got to go through in the law and all of that type of stuff. So bear with me. It shall come to business, Zechariah 14 and 16. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem shall even go up from year to year to worship the King, Yahuwah of hosts, and keep the Feast of Tabernacles. Y'all should recall that the Feast of Tabernacles has a solemn feast in it. That's why we came to read that. You can go read that in Leviticus 23. We're not going to go look at that at this time. And it shall be that those that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth from Jerusalem to worship the King, Yahuwah of hosts, even upon them shall be no rain. If the family of Mizraim go not up and come not that have no rain, there shall be the plague where if Yahuwah will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. This shall be the punishment of Mizraim and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the Feast of Tabernacles. And that day there shall be upon the bells of the horses Kadash unto Yahuwah, and the pots of Yahuwah's house shall be like the bowls before the altar. Yea, every pot of Jerusalem and Yehudah shall be Kadash unto Yahuwah of hosts. And all they that sacrifice shall come and take them and seethe therein. And in that day there shall be no more the Kenite in the house of Yahuwah of hosts. Return back to about verse 10 of Ezekiel 46. And look what says what happened that the priest, you know what? This right here. Go get you Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 5. After Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 5, I want to say Luke chapter 24. And then we'll read Ezekiel 46. Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 5. The just Yahuwah is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning do we bring his judgment to light. He fail not, but the unjust know no shame. Notice that it say the just Yahuwah in the midst. Of course, you know, he didn't do no iniquity. That takes us back to what we were looking at about being blameless. Swing over here to, I think I said Luke 24. I might need John. Now, Luke 24 is good. Luke 24 and 26. Or make it 25. Luke chapter 24 and verse 25. Then he said unto them, O fools and slow of heart to believe that all the prophets have spoken. Ought not Mashiach to have suffered these things and to enter into his esteem? And beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded unto them all the scriptures, the things concerning himself. And they drew nigh unto the village whither they went, and he made as though he would have gone further. But they constrained him, saying, Abide with us, for it is towards evening, and the day is far spent. He went in to tarry with them, and it came to pass as he sat at meat with them, he took the bread and he blessed it, brake and gave to them, and their eyes were opened, and they knew him, and he vanished out of their sight. They said one to another, Did not our heart burn within us while he talked with us by the way, and while he opened to us the scriptures? And they rose up the same hour and returned to Jerusalem and found the 11 gathered together, and them that were with them. I don't see why you would say that. And them that were with him, saying, The Lord is risen indeed, and have appeared to Simon. And they told what things were done in the way, and how he was known of them in breaking of bread. As they thus spake, Yahushua himself stood in the midst of them, and saith unto them, Shalom be unto you. Now notice that he stood in the midst of them. Just Yahuwah in the midst. Come over here to 46 and 10. Y'all should know from Isaiah chapter 9 that he's called the Prince of Peace. But there is other things, but we're not going to delve into that. Y'all should already know. They want to say you in verse 10. And the prince in the midst of them, when they go in, shall go in. And when they go forth, shall go forth. So notice he's the one, just like we read in Numbers, he's leading you in, he's taking you. But he say the prince that is in the midst of you, because Yahushua is in the midst of you, and he's leading you in, and he's taking you out. Come over here to John chapter 10. just so you can hear from the Lord himself and let him tell you. If you don't want to hear me paraphrase it, just let him tell you. John chapter 10 and verse 1. Then we'll come right back to Ezekiel 46, we're in verse 11. He said, truly, truly, I say unto you, that he that enter not by the door into the sheepfold, but climb up some other way, to thief and a robber. We've already read how you got to come in here in Ezekiel 46, how you got to come in the fold. Let's continue. But he that enter in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. We just sit back and read and say, well, he enter in and he enters in at the door. But let's continue. But to him the porter opened, and the sheep hear his voice, and he called his own sheep by name, and he lead them out. And when he put forth his own sheep, he go before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. So this is showing you exactly what Yahushua said here, and he was referring to the kingdom and giving you pasture and rest, and you see it right here in Ezekiel. Let's come back to Ezekiel 46 and 10. I will read it again. One second. Praise be to Alahym for the word. Do I want to use this? Do I want to use this? Oh no, I don't think I want to use it. Give me a second. There's something come to mind. I'm trying to decide if I want to use it. And I am not persuaded in doing so. And we will not. 46 and 10. Again, a book of Ezekiel. And the prince in the midst of them, when they go in, shall go in, and when they go forth, this is what it said. And in the feasts, and in the solemnities, the meat offering shall be an ephah to a bullock, and an ephah to a ram, and the lambs as he is able to give, and the hin of an oil of an ephah. Now, when the prince shall prepare a voluntary burnt offering or shalom offerings voluntarily unto you, one shall then open him the gate that look towards the east, and he shall prepare his burnt offerings and his shalom offering as he did on Shabbat, and then he shall go forth, and after his going forth, one shall shut the gate. Now notice it's talking about him or Yahushua making offerings to Yahuwah. Because a lot of people sit back and say, oh, why are we in the kingdom, this, that, and the third? Remember, in Ezekiel 46, Yahuwah does not come to dwell with us until New Jerusalem. Remember, that should take you back to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, where he said that all in all, until the Son delivers up unto the Father the things that were the Father's. Because remember what he told you, all thine are mine. Now, the word for voluntary or free will offering is nadava. You have your noon, you have your dalit, you have your pot, and you have your hay. So guess what? Behold, the Son's sacrifice of life. You get out there and you decide that you're going to get immersed. You're doing the same thing that Yahushua did. He said, send me. This is a voluntary offering. But let's continue. Verse 13. You shall daily prepare a burnt offering unto Yahuwah of a lamb of the first year without blemish. You shall prepare it every morning. You shall prepare a meat offering for it every morning. The sixth part of the ephah, the third part of the hin and oil, to temper with the fine flour and meat offering continually by perpetual ordinance. Thus shall they prepare the lamb and the meat offering and the oil every morning for the continual burnt offering. But here we go, because I'm supposed to get this verse from y'all a couple weeks ago. We've done it in the past. We'll go back over it. Thus saith Yahuwah Alahym, if the prince give a gift unto any of his sons, the inheritance thereof shall be his sons. It shall be their possession by inheritance. But if he give a gift of his inheritance to one of his servants, then it shall be his to the year of liberty. After it shall return to the prince, but his inheritance shall be his sons for them. Moreover, the prince shall not take up the people's inheritance by oppression, to thrust them out of their possession. But he shall give his sons inheritance out of his own possession, that my people be not scattered, every man from his possession. Now, of course, you know that take you back to the law when they came in the land. You couldn't take another man's property or land or landmark, as the text call it. But I want you to look at if the prince give a gift unto his sons, because we talk about a gift in secret in the bosom. And of course, you know that's matanah. And now we want to look at inheritance, a word you should be familiar with, which is Nakala, which is your possession, your property, your inheritance, your heritage. He said, if he give a gift to any of his sons, you know, from Revelation 21, he tell you, he that overcome, he shall be my son, and I will be his Alahym. Notice that he told him that he would give him out of his own inheritance. Right? That's what it said in verse 18. That he shall give his sons an inheritance out of his own possessions. Now, well, let's look at that word for own possession. And that's land or property or possession by inheritance. Now, this is what this word is, akuza. It's referring to land. So we're going to have to swing over here to Ezekiel 47 in a minute. But you have Aleph, you have Ka, you have Zayin, and you have Hay. Now swing over here to Ezekiel 47 and look at what it says. I'll start at verse 13. I'm not going to read all of it. Because when you look at verse 47, it's dealing with something in Zechariah, it's dealing with something that's in Revelation, and that's water coming from under the house, or the water of life emanating from the temple, or emanating from Yahusha. But let's look at these borders, though. Let's say, if you who are Alahym, this shall be the border whereby you shall inherit the land according to the 12 tribes of Yasharal. Joseph shall have 2 portions. And you shall inherit it as one well as another, concerning which I lifted up my hand to give it unto your fathers. This land shall fall unto you for inheritance. Now, if you recall, he enlarged the border. So the inheritance that we're going to get in the new kingdom is larger than the one that you had previously. And I believe we discussed that not too long ago. This shall be the border of the land toward the north side of the great sea, the way of Hethon, as men go to Zedad, Hamath, Berarath, Sibaram, which is between the border of Damascus and the border of Hamath, Hazar Hadakon, which is by the coast of Haran. And the border from the sea shall be Hazarim, the border of Damascus and northward, and the border of Hamath. This is the north side. And the east side shall be measured from Haran, from Damascus, and from Gilead, and from the land of Yasharal by Jordan, from the border unto the east sea. This is the east side. And the south towards the south side, southward from Tamar, even to the waters of strife in Kadesh, and the river. And if you remember that, the waters of strife, that's back in Numbers, when they were talking trash about water, to the river of the great sea. And this is south. And this is the south side southward. Now remember, Kadesh, that was in the wilderness. That wasn't even in the land. So you can see, as he said, he's going to enlarge your borders. The area of land is much, much bigger than what it was previously. But let's continue. The west side also shall be of the great sea from the border till a man come over against Hamath. This is the west side. So shall you divide this land unto you according to the tribes of Yasharal. It shall come to pass that you shall divide it by lot for an inheritance unto you, and to the strangers that sojourn among you, which shall be as sons among you. They shall be unto you as one born in the country among the sons of Yasharal. They shall have an inheritance with you among the tribes of Yasharal. And it shall come to pass that in what tribe the stranger sojourn, that he shall give him an inheritance, saith Yahuwah Alahym. Well, what does this take us to about giving us a gift of our possessions in the land? Because he said it's your Father good pleasure to give you the kingdom. As we read in Matthew 25, he said, come you on my right hand, inherit the kingdom which was prepared for you from the foundation of the world. See, we can't leave a possession of land to our children in any place because this is not your land. No matter where you dwell, you can't leave an inheritance because it's not yours. See, Yahuwah left us an inheritance, and that inheritance is in the land of Yasharal. But you gave up your inheritance by serving idol gods in your own land, so he sent you to serve another people in a land that's not yours. So no matter how we look at it, technically, can you leave land to your son? Yes, you can. But in reality, you can't, because it's not yours. Because the people who own that land, whose land you dwelling in, whose people you serving, because you utterly refuse to serve the living Alahym, they can take that land from you at any time. And what recourse do you have? Unless Yahuwah Alahym Almighty stands up on your behalf and executes judgment on your behalf, what power do you have? You can scream the laws of the land, or you can scream all that, all you want. But if it's given into their hand from heaven to take from you what you have, you will be humbled, and you will acknowledge that Yahusha is the anointed one and the son of the living Alahym. That's the part that we be missing. You be running to Yahuwah crying about stuff. You be Yahuwah doing it because you refusing to acknowledge him. That's why he told you that in Proverbs chapter 30. When he said, you know what? He said, don't give me wealth, lest I be fool and forget Yahuwah. You forget. So he has to take this stuff from you. He's look at this rotten bastard here. Let me go ahead and get his attention. See, we don't like that. Don't make you feel good on the inside. Come back to Ezekiel 46. Verse 19, I believe. After he brought me through the entry, which is at the side of the gate, into the Kadash chambers of the priests, which looked towards the north, behold, there was a place on the two sides westward. Then he said unto me, this is the place where the priests shall boil the trespass offering, the sin offering, where they shall bake the meat offering, and then that bear them out into the utter court to sanctify the people. Then he brought me forth into the utter court and caused me to pass by the four corners of the court. And behold, in every corner of the court, there was a court. And in the four corners of the court, there were courts joined of 40 cubits long, 30 broad. These four corners were of one measure. And there was a row of a building round about them four, and it was made with boiling places under the rows round about. And he said unto me, these are the places of them that boil, where the ministers of the house shall boil the sacrifice of the people. Now let's take a look at those things. And Ezekiel 46 is what he's referring to. But some of those words are in italics, which means that they are not there. The first thing of those we want to look at is court. And if you recall, it's Katsur. And it is an enclosure or a settlement or a village or a town or a yard enclosed by a fence. You have Kat, you have Sa, and you have Raj. So you already know that the way of the highest will separate you. Now I want you to come over here to Psalm 65. Psalm 65 and 1, if you would. I really need verse 4, but I'm going to start at verse 1. But we're going to read a couple of them. So, we'll read a couple of them. But Psalm 65 and 1. Praise wait for you, O Alahym in Zion, and unto you shall the vow be performed. O you that hear prayer, unto you shall all flesh come. As we've clearly read in a couple other places. Iniquity prevail against me, as our transgressions, you shall purge them away. As we read in Acts chapter 20. As you see in with some of those sacrifices that are mentioned in Ezekiel 46. Blessed is the man whom you choose and cause to approach unto you, that he may dwell in your courts. He shall be satisfied with the goodness of your house, even your Kadash temple. Notice that he says, blessed is the man whom he calls to approach to dwell in his courts. Now you notice that with those Levites. Remember that Levite is to be joined. And if you join the Alahym, as we read in Revelation chapter 7, you'll worship at his throne, in his temple. But he has to choose you and cause you. Remember, he said, no man can come unto the Father except come unto the Son, except the Father drawing. So you have to be chosen to dwell in that court. Let's come over here to Psalms 84. I want you to sit back and think about these courts. Dwelling in the house of Yahuwah, if you will. Psalms 84 and 1. Because that's part of why we look at Ezekiel 40 through 48 as well. You're getting a snapshot of the kingdom. It should cause your heart, you who are willing, to desire that that's where you want to dwell. Because you can be able to get a little bit of a insight into what it is to dwell with the Son of the living Alahym. Psalms 84 and 1. How amiable are your tabernacles, O Yahuwah of hosts. Listen when they say, my soul long, yea, even faint for the courts of Yahuwah. My heart and my flesh cry out for the living Alahym. The sparrow have found a house, and the swallow a nest for herself, where she may lay her young. Even your altars, O Yahuwah of hosts, my Alahym, my king, and my Alahym. Blessed are they that dwell in your house. They will still be praising you. See, I'm going to read that back to you again in verse 2. My soul long, yea, even faint for the courts of Yahuwah. My heart and my flesh cry out for the living Alahym. Yea, the sparrow hath found a house, and the swallow a nest for herself, where she may lay her young, even your altars, O Yahuwah of hosts, my King and my Alahym. Blessed are they that dwell in your house. They will still be praising you. Selah. Blessed is the man whose strength is in you, and whose heart are the ways of them. Let's drop down to verse 8, if you would. O Yahuwah of hosts, Alahym of hosts, hear my prayer. Give ear, O Alahym of Jacob. Selah. Behold, O Alahym, our shield, look upon the face of your anointed, for a day in your courts is better than 1,000. I'd rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my Alahym than to dwell in the tents of wickedness. For Yahuwah Alahym is a sun and shield. Yahuwah will give grace and esteem. No good thing will he withhold from them that walk uprightly. O Yahuwah of hosts, blessed is the man that trusts in you. Now sit back and look at it, right? This is Gittith, and this is a Psalms for the sons of Korah. I didn't get to it today, but you willing, I'm probably going to shift because I want to talk about passages a little bit today, and I got to grab a couple verses out of it. But tomorrow, you willing, we're going to deal with, because we started it on Wednesday, so I'll give you the heads up, we're going to deal with the Levites who were singers. So we're going to look at that. You're going to understand that, who are willing, and that's what we're going to look at. So you can prepare yourself and start looking through those things on your own time. But notice that what he said, right? That a day in his courts is better than 1,000. And that he would rather dwell in the house of Alahym than to dwell in the tents of wickedness. See, a lot of us don't feel that way. A lot of us don't feel that way. A lot of us like dwelling in the tents of wickedness. A lot of us like being around the wicked. Come over here to Psalms 96. Pick it up at verse. I'll pick it up at verse 1. It ain't verse 9. He's going to round this out. I'm going to grab a couple verses out of Jeremiah in that regard and conclude in 1 Corinthians 12. We got a 2-hour mark. I ain't going to give you about 10, 15 more minutes and we'll be out. Yahuwah willing. Oh, sing unto Yahuwah a new song. Sing unto Yahuwah all the earth. Sing unto Yahuwah, Baruch his name. Show forth his salvation from day to day. Declare his esteem among the heathen, his wonders among all people. For Yahuwah is great, greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but Yahuwah made the heavens. Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. Give unto Yahuwah, O you kindreds of the people. Give unto Yahuwah glory and strength. Give unto Yahuwah glory due unto his name. Bring an offering and come into his courts. O worship Yahuwah in the beauty of Kadash. Fear before him all the earth, and say among the heathen that Yahuwah reigns. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved, and he shall judge the people righteously. Notice what he told you to do. Let the heathen know that Yahuwah reign. Remember, and how do you know you let the heathen know Yahuwah reign? How beautiful are the feet of them who come upon the mountains, who bring good tidings, speak of good things, that declare unto Zion, your Alahym reign. You want to let the heathen know that Yahuwah reign, then let that gospel come out your mouth. And they will know that Yahuwah reigns in the earth. But notice what he tell you. Come on in them courts and bring an offering. That's what you seen in Ezekiel 46. Come on in there and bring an offering. Bring yourself and offer yourself as a living sacrifice. Come on in them courts and offer yourself and stop playing games. You know what I'm saying? Because it's his good pleasure to give you the kingdom. It ain't like he don't want to give to you, but you don't want it. Psalm 100. Psalms 101. Make a joyful noise unto Yahuwah, all you lands, and serve Yahuwah with gladness. Come before his presence with singing. Know you that Yahuwah is Alahym, and it is he that made us, and we not ourselves. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, and to his courts with praise, and be thankful unto him, and bless his name. For Yahuwah is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endure unto all generations. See, now this is what you're going to be doing in this course now. Remember Jeremiah 33? That you'll be saying, hallelujah, I hope, for Yahuwah is good, and his mercy endure forever, because you hear the voice of the bride and the voice of the bridegroom. You know, a lot of people don't want to sit back and look at that, don't want to pay attention to that. We will conclude in Psalms 135 with this particular matter with these courts. Then I'll go back and grab a couple more words, and then we'll grab a couple places out of Jeremiah, and we'll be out. You could pick it up in Psalms 134. It ain't long. Behold, bless, this is Psalms 134 and 1. Bless you, Yahuwah, all you servants of Yahuwah, which by night stand in the house of Yahuwah. Lift up your hands in the sanctuary and bless Yahuwah. Yahuwah that made the heaven and earth, bless you out of Zion. Notice say, which by night they stand in the house of Yahuwah, the servants of Yahuwah. Well, who in there? Ain't nobody but them priests. Well, guess what? You a kingdom of priests. Because you've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb to be kings and priests. And if you're part of the first resurrection, then you'll be a priest. But because you'll be after the order of Melchizedek. You'd have no end and no beginning, if you would. But let's continue. Psalms 135, hallelujah. Praise you the name of Yahuwah. Praise him, O you servants of Yahuwah. You that stand in the house of Yahuwah, in the courts of the house of our Alahym, praise Yahuwah. Yahuwah is good. Sing praises unto his name, for it is pleasant. See, a lot of people to praise and esteem the name of Yahuwah is disagreeable to their soul. Hurt their feelings. That's sad. That's a sad state of affairs, but that's what happens. Let me grab to see if there's any other words that we need. Let me see what it said, this building, because that's in italics. That's a circuit roundabout. We don't need that when we look at where the places where they will be boiling. You can come to Jeremiah chapter 17. We don't need any of this, at least not tonight. That's a cooking place. Jeremiah chapter 17, 12 possibly. I thank Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua for the word. And I say sometimes when we deal with certain things, it won't be exciting. But you will get some understanding. Jeremiah 17 and 12. A glorious high throne from the beginning is the place of our sanctuary. O Yahuwah, the hope of Yasharal, all that forsake you shall be ashamed. And they that depart from me shall be rent in the earth, because they have forsaken Yahuwah, the fountain of living waters. Heal me, O Yahuwah, and I shall be healed. Save me, and I shall be saved. For you are my praise. Behold, they say unto me, where's the word of Yahuwah? Let it come now. As for me, I have not hastened from being a pastor to follow you, neither have I desired the woeful day. You know, that which came out of my lips was right before you. Notice that he said he had not hastened from being a pastor. Of course, I already told you that word is ra'ah, and hasten is oops, and it's pressed, narrow, urgent, insist. He said he hasn't been insistent on being a pastor. He didn't desire destruction, but he didn't say, but you know the words that came out of my mouth, that they were right. See, a lot of individuals look at what he's telling. He didn't, as Darius put out there earlier, he didn't force himself to be a pastor. A lot of other stuff is negative things about pastors, but we can swing over here to Jeremiah chapter 10, if you would. Matter of fact, Jeremiah chapter 2. So we'll conclude that one right there. Jeremiah let you know I need to get another thing of that with the dual thing. So after this Jeremiah chapter 2, we'll go to 1 Peter chapter 5. I'll be glad when them other frames come. Hopefully tomorrow. Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 4. Hear you the word of Yahuwah, O house of Jacob, and all the families of the house of Yasharal. Thus saith Yahuwah, what iniquity have your fathers found in me, that they have gone far from me, and have walked after vanity and become vain. Neither said they, where is Yahuwah that brought us up out of the land of Mizraim and led us through the wilderness, through a land of desert and of pits, through a land of drought and of shadow of death, through a land that no man passed through, where no man dwelt. I brought you into a plentiful country to eat the fruit thereof and the goodness thereof. And when you entered, you defiled my land and made my heritage an abomination. The priest said not, where is Yahuwah? They that handle Torah knew me not. The pastors also transgressed against me. The prophets prophesied by Baal and walked after things that do not profit. See, now look at this here, right? He said the pastors didn't know him. The prophets prophesied about Baal, and those priests who handled the law, they didn't know him either. Now remember in John, I tell you that whosoever sinned ain't never seen him nor known him. That's why they can't see and they can't hear, and their hearts can't be converted. But what we're looking at is this is what the shepherds were supposed to be doing, but they weren't doing it. This is the detriment of people who handle the word. This is why Paul made another statement. People handle the word and they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. You have too many people who want, this is 2 Timothy chapter 1 that I'm referencing, because I ain't saying it correctly. I'm saying it, but I ain't saying it in its totality. So I need you to see it in its totality. And then we'll go to 1 Peter chapter 5, and then 1 Corinthians chapter 12. And it is 1 Timothy chapter 1, right? I pick it up at verse 3. As I besought you to abide still at Ephesians when I came to Macedonia, that you might charge some that they teach no other doctrine, neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies which minister questions, rather than godly edifying, which is in faith, so do. Notice what he told you, that if you edify according to godliness, this is according to the faith. Look at all the other stuff that a lot of our people talk about right now. All it do is it serves more questions. That's not godly edifying. It's not profitable to anyone. But let's continue. Now, at the end of the commandment is love out of a pure heart and a good conscience and of faith unfeigned. Let's continue. For which some have swerved, having turned aside unto vain jangling, desire to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor whereof they affirm. That's what go back to what we seen in Jeremiah. You got a lot of people who desire to teach this book and they don't know what they're talking about. And they don't even know what they're confirming or affirming or swearing in by in that regard. 1 Peter chapter 5, and this is just in regards of Peter being an apostle and a pastor. 1 Peter 5 and 1, holding dual offices. Indeed, and that goes back to what we were talking about last week with the genealogy, like in Ezra, where the men got put out the priesthood because they couldn't be found. They couldn't, this, that, and the third, because that's something that a lot of our people did. So when you look at genealogies, you know, our people were big on genealogies, on you being able to prove who you are. And look at how Yahuwah do it now. There's no way for any brew to prove what tribe, what person that they come from, because all those genealogies going to do is, see, we think we doing genealogies by taking DNA tests to prove if you're an Israelite or not. And Yahuwah probably sitting in heaven, this is just me speaking, you know what I'm saying, laughing at us. Because there's a reason why you ain't got no genealogy, son. You so worried about that. Do you trust me? Hebrews and antiquity were real big on genealogies, man. You had to prove that you was from the tribe of Benjamin. You had to prove you was from the tribe of Levi. You just couldn't pop up and say that. That's why I laugh at niggas who be like, y'all showed me that I'm a Levite. Really? He showed you that? Of all the things that could be revealed unto heaven, he decided to reveal to you that you was a Levite, that you was from that tribe, that you was from Issachar, that you from the tribe of Ephraim. Son, wrong with you. Because I would wager, I would be willing to put any amount of money that an individual could attain, that Yahuwah will reveal to you something greater than what tribe you come from. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 1. The elders which are among you I exhort, whom also am an elder, and the witnesses of the sufferings of Mashiach, and also a partaker of the scheme that shall be revealed. Feed the flock of Alahym, which is among you, taking the oversight thereof, not by constraint, but willingly, not for filthy lucre, but of a ready mind, neither as being lords over Alahym's heritage, but being examples to the flock. And when the chief shepherd shall appear, you shall receive a crown that fade not away. Indeed, that bloodline is polluted. That bloodline is polluted. And that's why he don't want you to worry about it. Because it's polluted. You know what I'm saying? You got to be born again anyway. And you know what? I'm glad that you said that. Because we talked about this not too long ago as well. That Genesis chapter 2. That this is the generation or the genealogy of that which is made in heaven. Niggas worrying about being the genealogy of the flesh that's polluted when he told you that he gave you the power to become the sons of Alahym that were not born by the will of man, nor by the flesh, but by Alahym. Niggas' minds in the wrong place. You trying to prove you a Levite instead of proving you a son of Alahym. Prove you are Alahym's family. Don't worry about proving if you were the seed of Abraham. Because if you were the seed of Mashiach, then you are the seed of Abraham, because you're going to inherit the promises like Abraham inherited. But see, we're not ready to have that conversation, because then you can't lift yourself up in your pride and boast in your circumcision. Because that's what you're not considering. Indeed, that bloodline is polluted. It's polluted with sin. You can read in the book of Isaiah. You can read in the book of Jeremiah. Don't you realize you're going to put this flesh off and put on the be made like unto the body of Mashiach and according to the flesh? And you're going to go in by a particular tribe, but in reality, you wouldn't be reckoned according to the flesh. You'll be reckoned according to the household of Alahym, because as Paul wrote in the book of the Epistle of Ephesians, that, you know, the whole family in heaven and earth is named after Mashiach, the same way the whole family in earth was named after Adam. So you're going to put this fleshly body off, and you're going to put on an esteemed body. And if you put on the body like that which is of heaven, then you actually, in reality, have no link to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob no more, because you would not be made according to the flesh. You would be made according to the Ruach, which means you would have a link to Alahym, which is why he said if you overcome, you would be his son, and he would be your father. He would be your Alahym. Because now you don't have a link to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob anymore. You have a link to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob according to the faith, but you wouldn't have a link to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob according to the flesh, because flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom, because you would have to put that off and to put a new body on. So why are we so focused on a body that's polluted versus esteemed? You know what? Philippians chapter 3. I'm almost finishing first chapter 5. Philippians chapter 3. Philippians chapter 3, verse 17. Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk, so as you have for us an example. For many walk, whom I've told you often, and I tell you weeping, that they are the enemies of the stake of Mashiach, whose end is destruction, who Alahym is their belly, whose glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things. For our conduct is in heaven, from whence also we look for our Savior, the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, who shall change our body, which would be polluted, and make it that it may be fashioned like unto his esteemed body, according to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things unto himself. Let's just go ahead and get 1 Corinthians 15 on general principles. Just on general principles. Verse 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Alahym, neither do corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible hath put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. And remember, he said that Alahym is a Ruach. And he said the children or the sons of the resurrection are made like the Malachim and Shamahim, or the angels in heaven. And the book tells you that the angels are flaming spirits. They're not flesh and blood men. They Ruachs just like Alahym is a Ruach. So when you put off this vile body, this polluted body, and put on his body, how could you say you related to Abraham? You would be related to Alahym. See, come on, Ephesians chapter 3. I keep referencing this to y'all, but I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. Praise you, Lord, in the name of Yahushua. That's all we can do. Ephesians chapter 3 and verse 14. He said, for this cause I bow my knees unto Abba of our Lord, Yahushua HaMashiach, of whom the whole family in heaven and earth is named. So if the whole family in heaven and earth, and it's not seeds of many, but seeds of one, that seed being Mashiach, that you need to consider. But let's continue. That he would grant you according to the riches of his esteem to be strengthened with the might by his ruach in the inner man, that Mashiach might dwell in your hearts by faith, and that you being rooted and grounded in love may be able to comprehend with all saints what is the breadth, length, depth, and height, and to know the love of Mashiach which passed knowledge, that you might be filled with all the fullness of Alahym, knowing that under him that he is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that work in us. Under him be esteemed in the house by Yahushua HaMashiach throughout all ages, a world without end. Amen. Am I concluded in 1 Peter chapter 5? I believe that I am. I believe that I am. And I have. 1 Corinthians chapter 12. Verse 25. That's something for us to consider. We so worrying about a bloodline, and you putting that bloodline off. Flesh and blood can't inherit. John 1 and 12, man. Y'all know what it says, man. He gave you powers to become the sons of Alahym, all those that believe on his name. It's not by the will of the flesh, nor by the will of man, but by Alahym. That's the only way you come into son of Alahym. You're not a son of Alahym because you are Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. No. No blood, no flesh, no will of man. That got to be a Yahuwah. Praise God. 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 25. That there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care one of another. Whether one member suffer, all members suffer with it. If one member be honored, all members rejoice with it. Now you are the body of Mashiach, and members in particular. Alahym is said in the body, first apostles, secondarily prophets, thirdly teachers, after that miracles, gifts of healings, helps, governments, diversity of tongues. Are all apostles? Are all prophets? Are all teachers? Are all workers of miracles? Have all the gifts of healing? Do all speak with tongues? Do all interpret? Covet earnestly the best gifts, and yet I shall show unto you a more excellent way. Why did I mention that? Because that goes back to being divided according to the course and things being distributed. Because the same thing that you see in the Levitical priesthood, you see in the priesthood of Melchizedek. And we've talked about these gifts. That was a couple years back. But notice how he said that Paul come through here in this verse 28, and this is what I want you to consider, how he set things in order of the ranking of importance. So having a diversity of tongues is not that important than government or help or gift of healings or miracles. See, this is the thing, right, that people get all bent out of shape about. But according to the Apostle Paul, he said, Alahym said that an apostle, a prophet, and a teacher are the most important things in the priesthood of Melchizedek. An apostle has the revelation of Yahushua HaMashiach straight from Yahushua himself. A prophet is speaking of things that will come to pass according to the word of Yahuwah, and a teacher is teaching the word. Because a lot of people ask, well, why we don't see miracles, and why we don't see people getting healed, and why we don't see people speaking in tongues. He just told you, is everybody an apostle? No, just like you've seen in that priesthood in 1 Chronicles 24. Does everybody do the same job? No, they don't. They all have different courses. You've seen that for yourself. So when you see that in the text, and then you come in these letters, you can see why this is written and why it said what it said. And guess what? That man said an apostle, a prophet, and a teacher are most important. Why? Because they telling the people about Yahuwah. He told you all the miracles and all that stuff. That's for unbelievers. That's not for a believer. The miracles and the healings and the tongues, that's for people who don't believe. He's trying to focus on those who believe. That's why he said those apostles and those prophets and those teachers is most important. That's another conversation for another day. Hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. I appreciate everybody's time, and bless all at the house of Yahuwah in the name of Yahushua. Who are willing, we'll pick it up tomorrow at a rate between 2:30 and 3 o'clock. You who are willing on Sunday for our observance of Pentecost, we'll pick it up at 1:30. We looked at a few things. And of course, we'll cross-reference back. You've seen in Ezekiel 46, Yahusha leading you in, bringing you out. Why is that? Because he set a shepherd to be over the people, because the people were scattered. Well, why were the people scattered? Because those who had the law, handled the law, didn't know him. And the pastors refused to know him. And the prophets were prophesying of another deity. And then we sit back and we're looking at these qualifications of being a pastor, a shepherd, an elder, a bishop. And we see that Ra'ah, which is basically to know the Son of the Highest. And that person who's supposed to know the Son of the Highest, this is how the sheep hear the shepherd's voice to follow him. And that's what we not getting. As has been mentioned before, we so focused on bloodline and we so focused on flesh that we don't miss out. And then when we look at what a pastor is supposed to be and how the text lay it out, and we see Yahusha doing it, we could even sit back and look at David doing it, because he was a shepherd, even though he was a king. Men don't fit that and don't even care to fit it. How many dudes who say they fit it, that they teach the word and they take that title upon themselves and they unskilled? How many of them lack self-control? How many of them are always contentious and ready to fight? You know what I'm saying? Always ready to fight. Like, how does that work? Yahusha ain't walk around talking he gonna fight somebody. Fight somebody for what? It's a frustrating thing because people's souls on the line, to be told. And niggas playing games. But I'm not gonna hold y'all any longer. It's late. I know most of y'all worked all day. You're tired. You know what I'm saying? You want to get you some slumber. You who are willing, you arise from your slumber. You know what I'm saying? Energized and ready to roll on tomorrow. So again, blessings out the house of Yahuwah in the name of Yahusha. And you who are willing, we'll pick it up on tomorrow. I told you what we're gonna look at. Prayerfully you recall. But since I'm a kind man, allegedly, I'll tell you that we're gonna look at singers and things of that nature. So prepare yourself for that. And you who are willing, till the next time.